We have got storylines galore tonight in MLB DFS because we have Walker Buehler facing the Mets trying to make Steve Cohen tweet once again. We have got Chris Sale making his second start off the injury list. Robbie Ray facing a pretty good Tigers team and some really solid offenses in good spots for tonight. So our job is to prioritize, dissect the news, dissect the data, and decide which of these expensive options we want to use for tonight, because it's tough, man, trying to decide where we want to go for MLB DFS for tonight. But despite the difficulty of that task, we'll try to do that right here to get you set for a Friday night slate. Welcome on into the Solo Shot. That's right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network and numberFire.com. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to break down Friday's 14-game main slate with lock set for 7:05 for tonight. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm recording this on Thursday night. Usually it's on Friday morning. I'm doing Thursday night. So if anything changes overnight, my apologies to all of you. Tom Vecchio will have the Q&A today at 4 p.m. So hit him up with any questions you may have, if things change, something like that. If there is some bad weather, because I can't look at that right now as of the night before. So tune into Tom, 4 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. Tom will also have the Solo Shot and the Q&A on Monday of next week. I am heading to the WFBC, the World Fantasy Baseball Championship, in Denver this weekend. So if you're there, come by, say hi. I'll be emceeing on Saturday. I'll be at the Rockies Diamondbacks game tonight and also at the FanDuel Fan Fest on Sunday. That is in Power Field in Denver. So if you are in the Denver area, want to go to a free sports betting fan fest with some fun festivities, I'll be doing a panel talking week 1 NFL and talking more stuff there. We're going to have, I think there's a Chainsmokers contest or a concert. Why not? I've got DFS in the mind. So if you're in the Denver area, get a Rockies ticket tonight, swing by on Sunday as well, and come say hi. Would love to chat with anyone who listens, resents the show, whatever it may be. More than happy to discuss that with you. But again, disclaimer, I'm recording this early. It is Thursday night. So if anything changes, I apologize, but check in with Tom 4 p.m. today to get his updated thoughts. Also, a lot of stuff here on the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed, despite the fact that I'm in the air potentially right now. Either way, we have a NASCAR podcast. It'll be on YouTube at 10:30. It's already on the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed right now. You can find that by searching for the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed. Also, the UFC podcast via Austin Slim coming up should be posted listening on Friday morning. That should be up by now as well. Find that there. Search for the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed. Listen to Austin. Listen to our NASCAR podcast as well. And then hit subscribe. And if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review as well. Hey, soccer fans, this season, FanDuel and Captain Morgan are teaming up to give you a one-of-a-kind soccer contest. Introducing Captain Morgan Soccer Pick'em, a weekly fantasy contest that is entirely free to play. The contest is simple. All you have to do is make quick predictions for Saturday games this soccer season. You will earn points for each correct pick and compete for a chance to win up to $3,000 in prizes every single week. Head over to FanDuel and enter the Captain Morgan Soccer Pick'em today. Must be 21 plus to participate. For more details, visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel Fantasy app. Eligibility restrictions apply, and don't forget to make your game day more delicious and sub in the captain. Pitching preview for this Friday main slate. Walker Buehler is the highest salary pitcher on FanDuel, checking in at $11,600. We have Chris Sale at $10,700. Robbie Ray is $10,500. Lucas Giolito comes in at $9,800. Blake Snell is $9,000. We have Max Fried, Lance McCullers, Sonny Gray, James Kaprelian, Yusei Kikuchi, and Alex Wood is the others at $8,000 or higher. Now, looking at this slate for today and looking at the stack specifically, there are a lot of really good teams that I want to stack. And that's fun because I feel more confident stacking good teams than bad ones. The issue is that when you're stacking a good team, you got to pay the piper. And if I want to pay the piper, it makes it tougher to spend up a pitcher too. So Buehler at 11.6. If I could have no strings attached, I would take Buehler there for sure. But it's a repeat matchup. Just faced the Mets last week, really high salary. I think I'm kind of okay taking the discount here and being high on both Sale and Robbie Ray. And I think it's a night where salary does matter a lot, and I like all three pretty equally, so give me those two first. Ray is likely the easier sell between the two, so let's start there. He's facing the Tigers, and it is a tough matchup. They're a very good team against lefties. but it's also a high strikeout matchup. They have a 25% strikeout rate versus lefties. That is tied for the highest mark on the slate. And we know Ray can take advantage of a high strikeout rate. The velocity on his four-seam fastball has been down a bit over his past 11 starts, but it hasn't mattered. The strikeout rate for Robbie Ray in that time is still 28%. He has a 2.28 ERA, and that ERA is good despite some tough matchups in there. He faced Boston 3 times in a 4-start stretch, another really good team against lefties. He let up 4 runs in one of those starts, but allowed just 1 combined run in the other 2 games. He's hit double-digit strikeouts twice in this 11-start sample. I think that he has that same ceiling once again tonight. Now, Ray could get rocked. He still lets up hard contact. The Tigers are very good, so there are downsides, but I am fine focusing on upside in a 14-game slate. If you want to take down a tournament on a 14-game slate, you need a lot of points. We can't focus on floor. We have to focus on ceiling. And Robbie Ray has that ceiling. So to me, Robbie Ray is a fine selection number 1. I will say that all 3 of Ray, Sale, and Buehler are in the same tier for me, but I am comfortable, if I had to rank them, putting Robbie Ray number 1. Sale's probably a tougher sell for most of you because it is just his second game off Tommy John surgery. He went just 5 innings in his first start, and we don't know how much length he has in his tank, but he looked so good. I am willing to roll the dice here exclusively in tournaments on Chris Sale. Let's start with the length discussion on Sale, because I think that is the first thing we should talk about. He went 89 pitches in his first start back. That's after he went 89 in his final rehab start at AAA. And reportedly, based on some beat reporters for that team, his pitch limit there was 90. So if his pitch limit was 90 in his final rehab start, why did he go 89 in his debut? I think it may have been situational, because you go back to that game. He pitched the 5th inning there. In the next half inning, the Red Sox scored like 97 runs. They were up 14-2 the next time Sale would have been out on the mound. So why would you put your pitcher coming off Tommy John back out there, 89 pitches, if you're up 14-2? He might have been done anyway, but I don't think there's some sort of hard cap here where he was definitely done right when he got to 90. I think there's at least the potential for him to go deeper in games, and man, did he look good. He didn't throw his slider as much, which, makes sense coming off Tommy John, which could be an issue long-term at some point for Sale. But despite the lower slider usage, he still had an 18% swing and strike rate. It came against the Orioles. They are a better team versus lefties and righties. They're still not a great team, but they're also not the worst. And they're a better team against lefties than the Rangers, who is what Sale will face tonight. They have a 76 WRC plus versus lefties. They have a 123 ISO. They don't draw that many walks. So I think the walk thing is actually key, because we're not going to see Sale messing around. He's probably not going to be throwing a lot of balls. That could mean that the pitch count matters a bit less. I'm not sure if he'll duplicate what he did against the Orioles. That's tough. He could flop, and it's a definite risk here. But again, it's a risk I am good with in this situation. So I will rank Sale number 2nd, Buehler 3rd, but again, they're all in the same tier. So if you like Walker Buehler most, don't want to deal with Ray's bad at ball data, don't want to deal with Sale's potential pitch count and concerns, I will not push back. I think they're in the same tier. I just really like the savings we get from those two. So to me, it's Ray 1, Sale 2, Buehler 3 in that top tier, but all 3 really, really fun for tonight. As far as the value play goes, I like both Max Fried and Lance McCullers. I'm going to give the edge to McCullers, but if you love Fried, I can see why. Based on what he's been doing recently, I get it. McCullers is at home against the Mariners, and it's not the world's best matchup, but similar to Ray, it's a high strikeout matchup. They're actually the team tied with the Tigers for the highest strikeout rate on the slate. That comes with a 92 WRC plus, so below average, worse than the Tigers. And McCullers gets plenty of strikeouts himself. He's gone back to using his slider heavily over his past 10 starts. In that time, McCullers has a 29% strikeout rate, and he has good batted ball data too. He has allowed a 34% hard hit rate with a 29% fly ball rate. There are no length concerns with McCullers, unlike with Chris Sale, because he has gone 108 or more pitches in 3 of his past 4 starts. Dusty Baker, don't care, and I love it. He's not broken yet, so that's promising for sure. The one issue is that McCullers needs all those pitches. I'm talking about Sale, the low strikeout rate with the Rangers. It may not matter what his pitch count is. He may be super efficient. I don't expect efficiency from McCullers, because despite the fact that he has that length, he's still walking too many guys. So even with the high pitch count, he's still gone 6 innings in just half of those 10 starts. He did get to 7 twice, but efficiency not the forte for McCullers. I do still like him a lot. He faced Seattle in Seattle back on July 27th. He had 8 strikeouts and 6 innings there. And if you get that for $8,500, I'll take it for sure. So even with the good studs, with the 3 studs we talked about before, I still think that McCullers is worthy of tournament exposure for tonight. So I'll still get there for sure. But he is behind all 3 of Ray, Sale, and Buehler. McCullers an option. If I don't get to Fried, that's okay, but I wouldn't mind getting there either. So some really good options in the pitching in several tiers for tonight's slate. As far as the stacking goes, if you're a longtime regular solo shot listener, you know I usually go 3 stacks. It is very tough to pick 3. There are 4 I like for tonight. So I'm not gonna. It's my Friday. Got some extra time here talking to you on a Thursday. So why not? Let's go through all 4 stacks here. And I think they are all good enough to justify breaking the rules. That starts at Coors Field. We'll go a little bit more rapid fire here. But the first one is at Coors Field, where I'll be tonight. Looking forward to that. The Rockies facing Tyler Gilbert, who is coming off a no-hitter. So it's a super impressive performance. You can never take that away. He's in the record books. And maybe a donkey move to stack against him. But he's still a guy I think we do want to stack against, especially at Coors Field. In that no-hitter, Gilbert had just 5 strikeouts in 9 innings. He let up 10 hard hit balls, so an exit velocity of 95 plus miles per hour, and those 10 hard hit balls were on 20 balls in play. So half of the balls in play were well struck. They weren't on the ground either. That might be one of the most improbable no-hitters of all time. Not like pregame expectation, but based on like the batted balls he let up, you don't expect a no-hitter in that scenario. And it's in line with his minor league data too, because Gilbert down there had a 23% strikeout rate. His fly ball rate was 39%. So if you extrapolate that to the majors, you would expect pretty middling numbers in the big leagues. The peripherals were on par with that in the no-hitter. It's not the results. So I think the Rockies make a lot of sense, despite the fact they're facing a guy who did just throw a no-hitter last week. So I love the Rockies here, specifically the mid-range. My goal in going through this stacks would be to identify guys you can use with Sale and Ray in order to hopefully get to the studs on their teams. And here, it's the mid-range. Brendan Rodgers, $3,300. Elias Diaz, $3,100. Connor Joe, still undersalaried at $3,600. And if Garrett Hampson starts, you could stack Rodgers, Diaz, Joe, and Hampson and make that work pretty easily with Sale or Ray and even Buehler too. So I think the Rockies very good on a slate, even when we want to pay up at pitcher. I'm going to put the Yankees second on this list. They're all also facing a fresh face. Just this one is not throwing a no-hitter. That guy is Charlie Barnes, and like Gilbert, not a big strikeout guy in AAA. He had a 20% strikeout rate there. It is 12% in his early big league action. And if you're going to have a 12% strikeout rate, you got to kill a lot of worms to cancel that out. He had a 46% ground ball rate in AAA, which is fine, but not great. It is 34% early on the majors. It's led to a 4.91 ERA for Barnes, but his expected ERA at Baseball Savant is 6.48. That could get into trouble pretty soon, and it could very well be the Yankees tonight. So they're number 2 for me behind the Rockies. My hope here is that Luke Voit is in the lineup once again. He is $2,900. Great piece to build around if you're trying to spend up a pitcher. I'm not sure what his playing time distribution will be like now with Anthony Rizzo back from the COVID IL, but I think he played well enough to earn some time, especially against the lefty. So I love Voit if he plays. Gary Sanchez, $2,500. Another guy who could make the stack more affordable. Hasn't been hitting the ball super well recently, but still think that Sanchez at $2,500, a guy you can turn to within this Yankees stack. Third group here is the Blue Jays. They're facing Tyler Alexander, another low strikeout guy, 16% strikeout rate for him across 6 strips through the rotation. And the batted ball data with Alexander is actually even more concerning than it was with Barnes and Gilbert. He's letting up a 45% hard hit rate and a 49% fly ball rate. Now he faces the Blue Jays. That's a lineup full of righties who can send lefties into the sun. I might be making a mistake putting the Blue Jays third. Might be why I put them higher. So ask Tom about this in the Q&A show later on. I might put the Blue Jays higher. We'll see. You can tweet at me and ask, but I might put the Blue Jays higher. They're not going to go lower. I guarantee you that. They might go higher, though. I think I might be a little bit too low on them, but I do think that the Blue Jays grade out really well. And they're also part of the reason why I wanted to get all 4 stacks in here, because I'm going to talk about the Blue Jays for sure. I really want to get to Teoscar Hernandez at $3,800 tonight. It is tough with Sale and Ray, but I can make it work thanks to Lourdes Gurriel, Randall Grichuk. They are $3,000 and $2,500 respectively. Grichuk specifically is one of the best value plays on this slate. So we're looking for guys we can turn to as one-offs to make our stacks more affordable, make it easier to the pitchers. I think Grichuk is one of the best value plays in the slate at $2,500. Randall Grichuk, to me, a core play for Friday night. The 4th stack here in the situation I want to talk about is the Braves. They're facing Keegan Aiken. This game is in Baltimore, which means the Braves do gain a DH for today. Aiken got bounced from the rotation for a bit. He was in the rotation, got bounced. Now he's back. Even when you include his numbers in the bullpen, it's not a super pretty picture for Aiken. Over his past 7 outings with more changeups, his hard hit rate allowed is still 46% with a 42% fly ball rate. His strikeout rate is 18%. And now he's facing the Braves, and their WRC plus is just 100. So they're not that scary against lefty if you look at that number. But if you go through the individual batters in their team, scary is the exact word I would use. So they also get to add an extra dude here today due to the DH. So I think they're great, and I'm equally high on the Braves as I am on the other 3 here. So I would say that I feel good putting the Blue Jays and the Yankees and the Rockies above them, but the Braves need to be in the stacking discussion, which is why I wanted to go with 4 today. Hoping that the DH allows Guillermo Heredia to hit, because he has a 197 ISO against lefties with good batted ball data, and he's $2,300. There's not a lot of value on this team. I will need Heredia basically to make the rest of this work unless I'm going with the color. So I much prefer him over Abraham Almonte. So hopefully we get Heredia in there as a DH for today. $2,300. Want to get there to make the rest of the stack more affordable. So again, the top 4 stacks, rock star level stacks for today, are the Rockies, Yankees, Blue Jays, and Braves. Whatever order you want to put them in, I don't care, but I think those 4 deserve to be at the top of our list. Let's move now to things to watch if you're looking for some more value one-offs in the mold of Randall Grichuk, guys you can turn to make the rest of your lineup more affordable. I would check out the Angels. They're facing Sam Hentges. He's a lefty, doesn't get too many strikeouts, so Justin Upton, $2,600. Joe Adell's $25, had really good numbers in AAA before he got promoted. Has not parlayed that into success in the big leagues yet, but I'll take some shots there. So Grichuk, Upton, Adell, all guys in the lower tier in the outfield who can hopefully allow you more leverage in the other batters while spending up a pitcher. I can also see the Cardinals grading out pretty well. They're facing Mitch Keller, who is still struggling, and that's a plus for the Cardinals, but there's not a ton of value on this team, so it's hard to get to them while spending up a pitcher, and they're not as good of an offense as the others. Like if they had a 115 WRC plus versus righties, I'd be more lenient to spend up for them, but they don't have that. So harder for me to splurge for them when I could splurge for the Braves, Blue Jays, Yankees, Rockies, et cetera, et cetera. So I like them, but I like them less so than the other ones, and they are number 5 for tonight. Finally, I'm not sure what to think of the Dodgers. They're facing Carlos Carrasco at home, and they just roughed him up last week, and now they get to see him for a second consecutive start. The peripherals for Carrasco are not nearly as bad as his results, and all the Dodgers are super high salaries. So I'd like to get there. I want to get there. I'd like to use them. I think they make a lot of sense tonight, but it's just tough here. I think they're going to be behind the others, which will likely make me underweight on them relative to the field. So probably going to be underweight on the Dodgers, probably underweight on some Buehler as well, which is always scary. So we'll see how things play out. But I think as of right now, that's how I want to play things here. Final segment for today, the Dinger calls for tonight. And I'm going 2 players from the same team because I really wanted the top guy, but also really wanted the fun guy here. So we're going to go with Teoscar Hernandez and Randall Grichuk. Teoscar being the boring one, Grichuk being the fun one, down to $2,500. I love the batted ball data Alexander's allowed in terms of trying to get home runs. I love the power numbers from Teoscar and Grichuk. So to me, I think they are both standout options. Home run calls for today, Teoscar Hernandez and Randall Grichuk. Make sure you get your Dinger calls in later on during the 4 p.m. stream with Tom Vecchio. Let him know who you think you will go deep as you tune in 4 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. go there. Make sure you subscribe. Tom will have you covered here on the solo shot on Monday and the Q&A on Monday as well. Follow him on Twitter at DFS_Tom. But also make sure you are subscribed to the numberFire Daily Fantasy Podcast feed for MLB, UFC, NASCAR, PGA, and eventually NFL podcasts. Once again, all in the same podcast feed. Once again, if you're in Denver, swing by the FanFest on Sunday. Say hi. We can talk for a bit, talk some betting, talk some DFS. So if you're in Denver, just Google FanDuel FanFest, get some tickets, super easy to get, and check out all of that. Should be a really fun time. Looking forward to being out in Colorado for my first time in my entire life. So if you're there, swing by and introduce yourself. If you have questions for me, I am on Twitter at JimSannes, JimSannes. You can also follow the FanDuel Podcast Network at FanDuel Podcasts. Big thank you to everyone for tuning in for today. Good luck to you tonight. We'll talk to you once again on Tuesday for more MLB action. This has been the solo shot right here on the FanDuel Podcast Network.